Hello and welcome to the Anto Guanjun Hong Kong 100 Ultra Marathon, Asia's premier 100-kilometer race running through the beautiful mountains of Hong Kong. I'm Richard Kimber, also known as the Drone Runner. With me,
I'm Charmaine Sang.
it's fantastic to be broadcasting to you today here in Hong Kong as we share one of the most exciting races with you over the next 14 hours of amazing live stream broadcasting. We'll be taking you to some of those beautiful parts of our home here in Hong Kong. A race that we love so much, and a race that we're looking forward to sharing with you all as you watch them around the world. Please keep telling your friends throughout the next 14 hours to tune in. Leave us some comments on the Hong Kong 100 YouTube channel. Leave us some comments on the World Trail Majors YouTube channel to let us know where you're watching from, who you're supporting in the race, and any questions you might have for us in the commentary team. First things, of course, though, let's have a proper look at the race course, Charmaine.
Sure.
You've done the race twice.
Yes, I have.
You're in a very good position to help us navigate this incredible scenery. So let's have a look now at the animation for the race course. We start, of course, in Sai Kung in Pak Tam Chung, where you see the 0-kilometer mark. We then immediately go into the trails, Charmaine, before we get back to this famous East Dam Reservoir.
Yeah, and then it's 5 kilometers all the way, going through 2 dams, and then it's the start point, checkpoint at East Dam. And then we're going to go through 4 different beaches, and then get to Ham Tin. And then another climbs, and then going to Hau Tong Kai, which is the checkpoint 2. And then that's like 34 kilometers there. And then that's another climb from Hau Tong Kai to Pak Sha O. And then we are then going to the Yong Shu O. That's 51 kilometers there then, around the coastal lines. And then that's will be quite a deep climb to Kai Kong Lang, and then we are at the middle part of the race.
That's right, we get to Kaling Ha there, and then really the real race begins. You can see on the elevation chart on the bottom, the red mountainscape. We go up into the big mountains between Kaling Ha and checkpoint 6 at Gilwell Camp, and then the climbing just keeps on going, doesn't it? We leave Gilwell, we go all the way through Sha Tin, still in the mountains, you can see, of Hong Kong, traversing the cityscape on either side as we start climbing higher and higher and higher as we start to approach the Gran finish line up and over Needle Hill, one of the beastliest climbs in Hong Kong.
With many steps. Coming
up just shortly. Very steep climb for the runners as they approach the 90-kilometer mark. And then finally, up and over there, you see them cresting the summit now towards the finish line of Tai Mo Shan, the biggest mountain in Hong Kong, and then flying down the other side of that mountain to reach the
finish line.
The finish line after all of that effort.
Yeah.
What a race course. You can see it going through the mountains of Hong Kong here, barely touching the city at all. Just occasionally you'll get amazing views of the cityscape, but just a measure there of how green Hong Kong is, how mountainous Hong Kong is, and just how much amazing country park and natural space there is in a city that I think for many people around the world, they still imagine to be a concrete jungle full of skyscrapers and never really realize just how green Hong Kong is. It's really an amazing place to come running. It's an amazing place to live if you enjoy running. And it's an amazing place for this race with so many runners from around the world coming to enjoy the event.
That's right, Richard. So it's a beautiful day today. Well, very good weather.
That's right. We've got fantastic conditions today. It's looking like it's going to be an extremely fast race. And we've got some extremely fast runners coming to take part in the race. We'll take a quick look at those now, Charmaine, and get a sense of just how many of the top contenders in the event are back to fight it out again on the trails. Everybody wants to take part in this race. Everybody wants to secure their place on the podium because they know that this is a fantastic way to get exposure globally by being part of this World Trail Majors series. And that's why you'll see there are so many top runners coming to take part. If we have a look at the men's division, for example, here, you've got 4 returning champions. 4 guys have won this race before, and they're all back. We've got Meng Guanfu at the top, who won the race last year.
Yep.
We've got Yo Pei Chuen, the course record holder.
Yes.
He's won the race twice. Shan Jia Sheng, probably the most recognized mainland Chinese runner internationally, and Yan Fei, who of course back in 2015 ran an extremely fast time on just a slightly different course. You can see the time a little bit faster there as the course was slightly altered on that year.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the women's list, Charmaine. Take us through some of the top women who are back this year.
So top women, we have actually a list of 4 women here, and then we have Wu Yuanyuan. She was the 3rd in the race last year, and then we have Li Ying, came 2nd last year as well. Veronica Lang, who's a local runner. She was she had a baby, hasn't she? And then she's now back. She won. Well, she was in 2nd place in 2020. And then we have our favorite local Zhang Menyi. She was the champion in 2023.
That's right, an extremely competitive field in both the men's and the women's division this year. It's really quite hard to pick a winner at this stage. We'll see probably in the first couple of hours how things are going to pan out, but there's some extremely strong competitors in both divisions, and there's a reasonable chance, I think, Charmaine, that the course records might tumble. But let's get straight now to the start line and see the beauty of Sai Kung. Here we've got an amazing drone shot in the early morning in this eastern part of Hong Kong, looking down at the beautiful tree-lined road that leads into the country park of Sai Kung here, where the runners are assembling to kick off down this straight line dash, basically, isn't it, towards the first trail.
4 minutes to go.
It's almost a sprinter's race, the first 1 kilometre of this event, as the corral of runners in 3 different waves will pour out of the start line here and fly down towards the first trailhead, where, of course, everybody wants to be in first place, Charmaine, because when you hit that trail, it's a long, steep climb, isn't it, up some stairs, and if you're stuck at the back, you worry that you might lose a lot of time on your rivals.
That's right, and then it's quite a narrow entrance, actually, from the road, and then turn to right on the trail, onto the trail, which is the Zhang Trail, country trail. So it's a very narrow entrance, and then if you're stuck at the back, then maybe you have to put extra effort to try to make your place back in the front. So everyone is trying to make an effort, sprint to that entrance, and then going on the trails. And then for the first part, actually for this first section, after you go to Junction, it's 5 kilometers, and then you go around and see some beautiful views of South China Sea. And then after 5 kilometers, then you're back on the road, a sealed road, which is another 5 kilometers, and then you're running along 2 different dams, and the first one is West Dam, and then is the East Dam. And then as you are closing close by to the East Dam, on the right is our geopark, the Global National Geopark, which if you are visiting in Hong Kong, I would definitely recommend you to go and see.
That's right. It's a really beautiful scene there in the morning. It's been perfect weather the last couple of days for the various events that make up this Hong Kong 100 series. We've had a 33-kilometre race. We've had a 50-kilometre race, the third and the half they're called. And now, of course, we have the real deal, the 100-kilometre race rounding off this Hong Kong 100 series. We're counting down now, probably 2 minutes to go until the start. We also, of course, have the Gran Sam concluding today. These are for the runners who have chosen crazily to do all 3 events back to back. They did the 33 on Thursday, they did the 50 on Friday, and they're doing the 100 today. And their overall time, of course, will be collated, and we'll see who that Grand Sam winner is. They're all lining up there on the start line in Pak Tam Chung. We can get down on the ground here as well and see some of the action as the runners start approaching the start line. Lots of famous faces around right now, lots of people taking pictures, lots of people taking selfies with some of the best runners in Asia as they have the time of their lives taking part in for what many people will be their biggest challenge of a lifetime, I'd have thought.
Yes, and for this race, it's actually, there's no specific requirement of, you need to enter certain race before this one. So it actually attracts a lot of people who wants to race the first time for 100 kilometers race.
That's right. It's a good point, Charmaine. This is very much open field for everybody, this race. No qualifications required and the like. A very popular event for people to come and enjoy. You can see the start line camera crews starting to back away now. We're getting excited. You can see the photographers moving aside. You can see that start line starting to be jostled. I'm sure there's some runners on the start there who are just eager to establish an early lead, even though it's literally just running down the road. They just want to get to that trailhead before anybody else, so that when those stairs kick in, they've already got a little bit of an edge over the people trying to catch up with them. But so exciting here to share these scenes with you on this perfect morning. And off we go.
Yay.
Let's just enjoy this moment as the runners in the Hong Kong 100, the Anta Guanjun Hong Kong 100 Mountain Ultra, pour down the road in Pak Tam Chung. And poetry in motion as we see this drone just gently twist around, and we're on the ground for all the drama with our running cameramen right at the front of the race course.
So this is the first wave out of the three waves. As Richard, you just said earlier, so the runners, they are arranged into running or start running into three different waves. And the first wave are actually going to be like the top elites of much faster runners according to the ITRA performance index. So as you can see, is that your push-chat? No. That's a Chinese runner. They are sprinting down the road now. It's around 800 meters to the trail entrance.
Yeah, perfect scenes here. You can see the sunrise cresting through the trees. I can already see the familiar hair of Sangha Sherpa on the left of Nepal flapping behind him as he flies down. There's Jeff Campbell on the left of Hong Kong, of course, one of the top runners in Hong Kong, making the most of his fast road legs as the drone tracks these lead runners towards that first major trail turning as they'll disappear into the mountains. As we mentioned, a real sprint finish. Some runners just desperate to try and get to the trail ahead of everybody else and perhaps just enjoy being on camera, enjoy being at the start of a race, knowing that there's another 102 kilometers yet to go. This might be their only chance to enjoy running with some of the elites. But what an experience as they pour down this road. There's a slight uphill as they approach the trail.
That's right. And you can see some lady runners. So you just have to, oh, is that Samaya?
There's Samaya Buddha right in the middle at the heart of the action, of course. One of our top picks for the podium and possibly the victory in the female division. Running right next to her, Ryan Whelan, one of the top expatriate runners here in Hong Kong, doing the Gran Sam.
So yeah, a bit of a slope before you turn right to the trail entrance.
That's right. Pouring up the road here, and there we go. Just as we said, there's that hard right turn onto the stairs.
And then they can get a taste of Hong Kong what Hong Kong trails is. And the characteristics of Hong Kong trails is actually steps, steps, and more steps.
Exactly right, Charmaine. Probably the biggest challenge for international runners coming to race in Hong Kong, the number of stairs on the trails and the steepness of those stairs. It's a lot more taxing on the quads than running long, gradual uphills and downhills. Wong Ho Chung, Hong Kong's top runner, just passing the camera there. He'll be a firm favorite, of course, among many people watching this live stream. He's been Hong Kong's most successful runner for some years now, following in the footsteps of Stone Zhang before him, leading the charge for Hong Kong on the international stage. As we then see a whole pack of runners, of course, including Jeremy Ritchie there of Canada, lived in Hong Kong a long time, one of a very few handful of runners who have done this event in every iteration since its beginning 15 years ago. This will be his 15th time on the trail. Fantastic to see so many long-term fans of the race still turning up every year, even though they have a busy racing calendar. Charmaine, right now, talk us through the tactics here. Immediately, the runners are going to the side of the stairs to avoid those stairs.
Yeah, I was going to say. So a lot of the runners actually, they are trying to avoid the stairs, and then they are taking the side of the steps. And then, as you can see just now, like two of the male runners, they were like choosing the sideways of the steps instead of going on the steps. So here you go on the hard, solid trails. Okay, now.
That's right. As they come off the trails, there already some fighting to get that lead between the lead runners. And we head back to the start line for wave 2 as we approach another amazing drone start line shot. The lead runners, of course, heading around the trails already, while the second wave of runners get the chance to have a clean break on the road just for safety purposes and to give the elite runners a chance to really stretch their legs without having so many people on the course at the beginning. This is wave 2 of the Hong Kong 100. Another beautiful shot here as people pour out of the start line gate down the road for the adventure of a lifetime here at the Hong Kong 100, part of the World Trail Majors series, the first race on the World Trail Majors calendar. And for many people trying to tick off a few of these races across the year, it's great to get this one out of the way in January, Charmaine.
Yeah. It's actually very good. I really enjoyed like Hong Kong 100. It's like it's always almost the first 100 kilometers race in the start of the year. It has so good vibes, and I enjoy the two races that I ran back in 2019 and 2020. And for looking back on this section here, I think you just have to be very careful how you pace yourself, because it's just the very first few kilometers, and if you sprint too quickly, you tire yourself, and then it will get you at the end or like in the middle of the race.
Exactly right. As we head back inside the trail, we can already see the pace of these runners eating up the trails as they fly through this perfect corridor of tree-lined single-track trail. What a joy to see, and fantastic job, of course, by our camera team as they try and keep up with these lead runners, but really exciting to see the views on the right side here of the trail as, again, the sun pours through the trees here, so pretty, and the pace already picking up. You can see the lovely running form of some of these runners. They might be running on tough trails, but they've still got nice high kick on the leg there. Perfect cadence, light on their feet, dancing through the trails. It's not easy in these tightly packed single-track trails, Charmaine, to still be able to see your foot placement when there's so many runners right in front of you. You don't really have a lot of visuals, do you? It's very easy to make a mistake and trip when there's so many people on the single track.
And then it's very hard, as you said, it's a single track, and then it's very hard to take over as well. Yeah, so you just have to be very careful. And then for me personally, because I'm like very short and petite, and it's actually very hard because you can't really see what's in front of you. So you're trying to, just pace yourself and, trying to catch up with, the runners in front of you.
Yeah, this is a time for caution, really, isn't it? Even though it's relatively runnable, that trail, but very easy to make a mistake early on in the race.
Yes.
Look at that beautiful sunrise, as we mentioned, here in Hong Kong. Local time, 8 o'clock in the morning, as the runners pour down the road and prepare, just as we saw the elite athletes do, for this immediately technical trail section that they will climb up into and get a taste of what they're in for the next 14 hours for the elite runners, coming down to maybe 13, 12, 11, possibly even 10 hours, possibly even under 10 hours for those superstar runners at the front. And for the runners further back, of course, it could be a much longer day. Meng Guangfu there, right in the middle of shot, right at the heart of the action, the champion from last year. He's not messing around. He knows exactly how to win this race. He's one of the most talented runners I've had the chance to race against and film, and one of the hottest properties coming out of Chinese trail running on a global scale. Already looking like he's ready to boss this event, Charmaine.
So let's see if he can defend his title for this year. I mean, like Yo Pui Chen, he won 2 years in a row. So he lost last year against Meng Guangfu. So let's see how they're going to do this time.
Exactly right. You can see right behind him, John Ray Anifa, Stingray of the Philippines, not letting Meng Guangfu out of his sights. No. And I'll just mention, we've already got so many comments coming through on the live stream, cheering the runners on, and many of those comments are featuring the Philippines flag, of course. So many fans for Team Philippines here. Laban Filipinas, many of them are saying, go, 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 fight, fight, fight for the Philippines runners as they do their best.
There you get a
to
shot
keep
of
up
our
with
cameraman, yes, keeping
the
up with the
lead runners.
Yes.
There's Seb doing a fantastic job on the trail, a very talented runner himself, fresh off a victory here in Hong Kong on the Hong Kong trail race just a couple of weeks ago. Good job, Seb, keep it up as we stay with these male leaders pouring through the trail. And please, anybody who's watching, spread the word. Send these links around. Let's get more and more people enjoying the trail party. We've got so many Philippines flags, so many flags from Nepal on our live stream chat, and of course from Hong Kong as we go back to wave number 3.
Yes, wave number 3. So you can see the last wave of the event. They're going to start. So these runners are relatively slower. They're slower runners. Yeah, so they are sprinting or running along this paved road here. So you can see still a few hundreds. I wonder how many are participating this year, Richard. Do you know the numbers? Because I remember last year was around 1,800 participants, including the Grand Slam participants for this race. So this year, I'm not so sure the exact numbers yet, but then you can see all the runners, they are running through this starting arch, starting their race. It's going to be a long day for them. So again, like you can see the beautiful weather here. You cannot ask any better for the perfect weather. I think it's around 15 degrees now, and it's going to get up to 20 degrees today, this afternoon. It's much cooler than last year. I remember last year, talking about Stingray. I think he kind of had some problems last year, but then he stood back up, and then I think he got to 7th place. So back on the trails again to the lead runners, male runners. So they are still at the Jiangshan country trail. So it's a good 5 kilometers run along these trails. And then you can see some beautiful sea views, but they will be busy running rather than seeing the views actually. So you can see steps on the way. So these ones, yeah, I don't recognize the back of this race, this runner here. So you can see some supporters on the side.
Yeah, we'll see lots of people out on the trails today, I'm sure, supporting the runners throughout the day. Impressive to see people here. It's actually one of the less accessible and less attractive places ultimately to go and support runners compared to later on, but very impressive. People are already out hiking. It just shows the love for this event in Hong Kong. People will be throughout the course finding opportunities to cheer people on, even in sections of trail that are slightly hard to access like this. So a fantastic reflection of the love in the trail running community for this event and the support people have for the runners who come over to take part. A nice steady pace here from the lead men, just drifting through this lovely single track in the morning. And it's worth having a look here at the men's course record from Yo Pei Tuan back in 2020. We can get a sense here of just the pace that the lead runners are going at. You can see on the right hand of the chart their running pace, really quite impressive. This is not far off an impressive road running pace for a long distance if you're just looking for a pretty solid road running time. But of course, this is over incredible trail. So 10 hours and 17 seconds for Yo Pei Tuan. And then Xiang Fujiao Charmaine, the women's record holder, also in 2020.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm just wondering, like, what's the magic in 2020? They both the female and the male, they got the course record. So as you can see, Xiang Fujiao, her pace slightly slower than Yao Puchang. It's off about by like a matter of seconds or 12 seconds. So as you can see, some of the runners from the last wave, the third wave, going on to the trail entrance. So for this 100 Hong Kong 100 course, it actually composed of different terrains. So you sometimes have, or actually you have to run quite a lot on these paved roads, and then you get on the trails, and there are some very steep climbs, and the climbs it's difficult. It's more difficult climbs in the second half of the race.
It certainly gets tough, doesn't it, in the back half of this 100-kilometre challenge. You can see here very clearly on the elevation chart the difference between the first half of the race and the second half. Those red lines, for anybody unfamiliar with mountain charts, tell the story, don't they? The first half, you can see that first 10 kilometres, as we saw on the animation earlier, around the dam, around the reservoir, pretty fast. The runners will be quite aggressive going into that first climb at around the 12, 13 kilometre mark. And then after that, still some runnable terrain for another 7 or 8 kilometres as they approach the gap between CP1 and CP2. A punchy climb there towards CP2, up and down Ngau Seksan. And then as they go further into the race, Charmaine, really the pain cave starts to deepen, as they say sometimes, and that's when the challenge begins.
That's right. And then just have a look at the CP2 to CP3 at Baksha. In fact, you would see like the elevation is actually lower, but then I would say that this part is actually the trickiest part of the race, because it's only 9 kilometers. But if you look back on the runner split, even though it's only 9 kilometers, they need a good 40 minutes to complete because it's really rocky and rooty parts of the trails, and then you just basically have to concentrate on how you step on those trails, make sure that you're not rolling your ankle, and then prepare yourself for the second half of the race. So as you can see on the elevation, starting from checkpoint 5 onwards, it's just hilly. You're going through the Ma On Shan, and then the Tate's Canes, and then also the Beacon Hill, and then at the very last section, we have the 3 last push, which is the Needle Hill, Grassy Hill, and then the Tai Mo Shan.
It's certainly a race of two halves in the truest sense, and anybody you speak to who's done this race, Charmaine, says the same thing, which is don't go too fast in the first half. And
correct.
How was your experience? You've done it twice.
Yes, I've done it twice. I was actually because my coach knows me so well, I tend to put a lot of effort, or I get very excited in the very beginning, and then I'll just run very fast, which is not a good idea. So in those 2 years, I was actually trying to get myself and train myself mentally, and then telling myself not to run so fast in the first half, and then try to save all the energy for the second half.
Yeah, this certainly seems to be the only piece of advice I've ever heard about Hong Kong 100. And yet, of course, routinely everybody breaks their own advice, don't they, and gets overexcited. But just to put this whole thing in perspective, here you've got the Gran Canaria World Trail Majors events map. You'll see Hong Kong there, of course, on the right of your screens. The first race in the global calendar of World Trail Majors series events, kicking things off in style here in Hong Kong. And we have World Trail Majors events all over the world in the following months, as you can see here, spreading across your racing calendar. You've got so many options, whether it's starting in Hong Kong or ending all the way in South Africa. Plenty of races you can take part in. And Charmaine, you've also enjoyed, I think, doing the Madeira race there, MIUT, I beg your pardon, in Portugal. A beautiful race there. Many events to choose from.
That's right. MIUT, I did that 2 years ago. It was really beautiful. I would definitely recommend everyone to go. It's a small island out of Portugal. I did the 60 kilometers race. They actually have a few different distances. They have like, I think 45, 60 and 85. They have 100 and then 115. And then the 115 is the most difficult race out of all the distances. So I chose the 61 is because I want to enjoy the race during the day. So it was so pretty. But then I got the experience. It was actually really hot there. I ended up cutting my tights off at one of the checkpoints because I just couldn't stand the heat. It was so cold in the beginning at the start of the race, so I was wearing a pair of tights. And then throughout the day, I was just, I think it was at checkpoint 2, just before the sunrise. And I just thought, no, I just couldn't take it any longer. So I get to the checkpoints. I asked one of the the helpers, do you have a pair of scissors? And they have this big pair of scissors. So I just thought, I have no excuse. I have to cut my pair of tights off for me to, carry on to the race. And it was so beautiful. I think I remember climbing up to their famous peak, which is called Pico Roivo, if I pronounce it correctly, and then you just see beautiful sea of sky. It's incredible. I definitely recommend everyone to go.
Sounds like great advice, Charmaine. There's so many great races to enjoy on the World Trail Majors calendar.
Right.
Let's focus back onto the Hong Kong 100 here and take a look at some of the amazing runners who have taken part before, including, of course, the record holder for this event in the men's division, Yo Pei Tuen. We spoke to him just a few days ago.
你今年的感觉怎么样？有信心吗？
现在状态会比往年还要好一些。
那就好。那我想问你，为什么喜欢来香港去跑那个桨板？
因为我喜欢香港的气候，香港港百办的又非常好，非常适合我。
然后就是你在香港跑山的时候，跟你在国内训练的时候，那个有什么分别呢？可以。
我觉得香港的山，它因为走的人多，它比较成熟，路非常的好走。
那就是之前你就是赢过2次了，然后你觉得今年能够在10个小时之内完成吗？有信心吗？
我自己有信心的，当然最后还是要看具体的花费。
好，最后就是对于跑港百来说，有什么去跑山的可以分享一下？港百我觉得就是路还挺好跑的，比较容易跑快了。跑快了之后就容易后半程就会比较难。因为我第1年是有退赛的，所以说我就是因为前面跑快了，是可以。然后就是在后半部呢，你觉得呢？对，就是前半部你稍微放慢一点点，后半部分就会比较顺利。好，谢谢你，加油。
That, of course, was Yo Pei Tuen, the course record holder in the men's division and a 2-time winner of this event. He set the course record in 2020 and he's back this year. He's determined to try and go under 10 hours one day. He keeps telling us it's possible. I think I believe him because, of course, who wouldn't? He's such a strong runner. But it seems incredible to do this race in under 10 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
Another, of course, famous runner who's here on the course this year but is not racing is Xiang Fujiao. She's the most famous export out of mainland Chinese trail running, I would say, across men's and women's divisions. Let's hear what she has to say about the race.
想问一下你喜欢香港100吗？
我当然喜欢，就是我已经连续参加4年港百了嘛。但是后来从20年到现在，即便我是没有跑比赛，但是我每年都会来到了香港100的现场。
是看到你去 support 你的那个队友，对吗？
对对。
那你觉得那个你作为赛道的纪录保持者，对于 今年的比赛的选手，你觉得跑步这个策略应该是什么？
我觉得其实对于跑这种100公里，甚至更长的这种比赛的话，前面一定要就是按照自己的节奏慢一点点，然后后面如果说你有体能的情况下再去加快速度。因为其实今年的天气我们看到还是蛮好的，就是20度左右嘛，我觉得是很好创造成绩的。因为大家以前都觉得港百很闷热、很湿热，其实今年天气还挺好的。我在想，我这赛道记录有可能今年会被打破哟。
好啊，那你觉得香港的山和你平时训练的地方有什么区别吗？
虽然说这个山的海拔高度跟我平时训练的都差不多，但是唯一不同的就是因为这里可以看到海，太美了。
美了，
对，
一边跑一边欣赏。
对，
那我还想问一下你自己本人也是在西部100取得这么好的成绩，那你怎么去看待现在女性跑者、越野精英跑者在整个越野圈的影响力呢？
其实我觉得女性的成绩它会在慢慢的越来越好，尤其是我们看到，比如说就 Cotterly 或者说Katie 他们的积分很高嘛，然后也能看到他们在很多场比赛就是在整体排名当中都能进到前10名，包括我也是。
是，太棒了。
就是我在国内比赛，我经常会进到就是男子组前10名，甚至是前3名，所以我们的现在女性的水平也越来越提高了。而且就是在整体来看，就像比如说国内现在女子运动员在国际上的那个积分排名，它就是更靠前，男子的话竞争还是会更加激烈的。
是的，是的，好啊。
And we're back on course live at the Hong Kong 100 Ultra, the first race of the World Trail Majors series, running around the beautiful East Dam Reservoir. You can see we've got running cameras here, and we've got this perfectly smooth motorbike camera here, tracking the elite runners as they stream around, just along with our live stream, this long flat road, having gotten off the trail now and starting to pick up the pace. So exciting to see the runners start stretching their legs at this point, and we really get a sense of the amazing speed that many of these ultra-distance trail runners still have. I think the days, Charmaine, of mountain runners being people who just go up and down hills but can't necessarily run very fast are long over. Now a lot of these top runners have very impressive marathon times, they're very impressive road runners, and the competition is getting fierce.
Yes, that's correct. So yes, so I know like some of the local runners, they actually enjoy the trail running very much, and they can say that I can say that they are actually they say they hate the road running bit. So now like they try to sign up for different marathons and try to get some training just on the roads, because in Hong Kong or even like some other parts of the world, like in the trail running, you still have to involve a lot of road running. So as you can see, we have the lead runners. They are on the paved road. It's a good 5 kilometers road run now. It's not completely flat, even though it looks really flat on the TV. But there are some slopes. You have to go up and down, and then you see. I think this is maybe the East Dam.
That's right. Beautiful scenes here again as the sun just peeks through onto the reservoir.
You can see actually...
so there's Yo Pei Tuen in the orange shirt. We'll be watching him all day long.
Yeah.
Behind him, we've got some other runners I just saw. Shen Jiasheng of China running alongside Deng Guomin, also of China, two of the strongest mainland Chinese runners in the race who will be tracking all day long. The competition at the front really hotting up. The lead runners establishing themselves and making the most of this long, flat section to try and create some space between them and their rivals, even though, of course, they know there is still such a long way to go. They're not messing around.
That's right. You see some beautiful views of the reservoir, the Manyi Reservoir. Some beautiful shots there.
Perfect scenes here around the reservoir on this Saturday morning. Just coming up to 8:30 local time. Endless blue skies in this eastern part of Hong Kong.
I think that's Daniel Jong.
There's Danny Jung, of course, of Italy, just behind the lead pack there with Meng Guangfu on the front of the screen here, close to the camera. John Ray and Aoife Stingray on the right of screen there with the sunglasses on. Pumping their legs, looking nice and smooth and strong. Eating up this road and making the most of their road running skills as we start scooting along ahead of the runners and get a sense of just the pace that these athletes are able to sustain. And we're not even 10 kilometers into the race.
That's right. For the first section, it's actually 12 kilometers. They're actually sprinting. They look like they're sprinting for a 10 kilometers race.
Yeah, look at that lovely long cadence there as the runners just stretch their legs, knowing this is a rare chance to make fast progress before they start heading into a more technical section of trail that leads up and over a mountain and down to the first of the many beach crossings. One of the strongest Nepalese runners there leading that pack as we start seeing the overall level of competition spread out. And there's Yopi Tuen, number 101 in the black vest and small shorts. We'll be watching him all day long. Signature small running shorts for Yopi Tuen and small tank top. He always looks like he might just be popping out for a short jog. You'd never believe that he's about to run 103 kilometers through the mountains. Beautiful scenes again here of the East Dam. Perfect reflections on the water of the road as it just cuts through the reservoir here on this perfect winter's day in Hong Kong. Still very pleasant temperatures, as you can see from the runners. It's still t-shirt and shorts time for many people going out and hiking today, but some glorious scenes as we just celebrate how lovely the running conditions are and have been for these past 2 days.
We're just so lucky with the weather lately.
There's Jeff Campbell, one of the top runners in Hong Kong, the Asia Trail Master last year. He won many of the races in that series and eventually took the overall title some months later at the final race of that race series. A very well-known figure here, and of course the Oxfam Trail Walker champion, part of the team who set a course record in the Oxfam Trail Walker just a couple of months ago.
It was brutal, the weather. Yeah,
it was certainly a lot more humid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was humid, and then it was raining very heavily, and then I had a few friends doing that, and then the trails were actually really muddy, very slippery. It was a very tough day, and then Jeff and his team won.
And they won in style. I was supporting them for about 2 or 3 hours. There's Alex Nayrink, another incredibly strong runner who actually just took out the camera there, I think, from our cameraman's hand as they high-fived. Teammates, the two of them on the Amara team there, just taking out the camera as he gave a high-five to our cameraman. We're moving back through the field here to catch up with the leaders in the women's race. Of course, we want to give equal coverage throughout the day to the two divisions in this race. So many strong female athletes. We're sending the camera band back now to catch up with all the action across the women's and the men's race. And we're looking forward to seeing Samaya Buddha, to seeing Hao Ha-Ti, to seeing Man Yi-chung of Hong Kong, among many of the strong women who will be dominating this event, just as they have done in so many races across the running season, really laying down a benchmark for how strong female elite running has become globally and especially here in Asia in recent years. As we do another pass with the motorbike camera here to come and catch up with some of the elite women in the race.
Comes I think it's Samaya. Is it with the long hair, ponytail? No, that's Ying Li, number
That's
2.
right, Ying Li, number 2 there. Very strong competitor who's done this race before.
She came second last year. Finished at 13 hours, 39 minutes.
Very impressive time, anything around the 13.5-hour mark, 13-hour mark. Very respectable
I think the one
time. Whether you're a male elite, female elite, doesn't matter. These are tough runners with incredible performances in this race, and they're no strangers to running. Been here many times. There's Ryan Whelan sharing some tips with the motorbike cameraman. Ryan, of course, in the middle of the Gran Sam event. He's sitting very comfortably just outside the podium places in the Gran Sam. Runners, of course, who do all 3 of the Hong Kong 100 events, the 33, the 50 and the 100. He's leading the charge to try and